नमस्ते मित्रों, खुश रहिए। आई JVWU Muskan Kumari from the Department of Science and Technology, and I'm working here as an assistant professor in JVWU Women's University and the Faculty of Education and Neurology. So today you will know that your program is MCL is 10th semester and your course name is Networking Programming, which is basically taught by me. And so today I will discuss the new session. That session name is your basically how the functions or the operations you are performing in TCP socket, like you are using the create, bind, connect function. These all are the functions, isn't it? And exit function. So how will they work, isn't it? And what is the working of that in the deeply form with an example of diagrams and also some coding information. Okay. So to make it in easy way to understanding way, so I'm just going to share some slides which will helps you to better understanding. Clear. So just hold 1 minute. So you can see here that this is the bishop. What is the elementary TCP sockets and what are the various functions you are using in that socket? Clear. So to describe this in real forms, I just want to discuss with you like what TCP sockets, isn't it? The TCP servers and the TCP clients, there are two things. First will be your TCP clients and second will be your TCP server, and there will be the connections between all these. Here you can see that the sockets bind, listen and accept. These four functions are used here clearly, and in where at the server side and at the client side, one is you are creating the sockets and you are just want to connecting this with the server, isn't it? And this will be these four operations and the functions will continue till you didn't send the request to end the connections between these two ones, isn't it? And you are sending this with the help of an end of file, that is EOI, end of file. Okay, so here is it is written that what block until connection from the clients. Clear? So now what will happen here? Uh, they will read what they will read whatever the connection establishment for you are requesting. What you are requesting for requesting, you are writing here the right functions is used here. Who is using these functions? Client is using these functions. What? Right? He, it means that he is requesting for taking or achieving the data from the server side, and server will read that where this data has stored in this on these locations. Clear? So this will read and process your request, whose client's request for the data, and then he again use the write. It means they have fetched that data and they are giving you to read this data. So the read operations is performed by the client to taking the data from the server sides as in reply, and he use that data as per their requirements and as per their rules. Clear? So what will happen when the client side working is fulfilled and completed, then he is sending the end of file notifications that now I have completed my work. Now I want to disconnect my connections with this server. Clear? So they are sending the end of file notifications to the server, and server read their notifications and close. It means close means they are disconnecting the connections with this clients. Clear? Now they will connect with the another clients. Okay, so this diagram is basically show this, right? Now the socket function. What is the socket function? Socket function to perform the network input output. Family specifies the protocol family. Connection function or connect function. The connect function is basically used by the TCP clients to establish a connection with the TCP server. Okay, so what? Basically the TCP wants to establish the connections with the TCP server. So this is basically happen with the help of a function, and that function's name is the connect function. Clear? And SOCK FD. This is what SOCK socket FD is a socket descriptor returned by the socket function. This is a type of the function which is basically define the socket descriptor which is returned by socket function. Second and third arguments are a pointer to the socket address structure and its size. Second and third is what defining. This is defining that these are a pointer to the socket address structure and its size. Now, the socket address structure must contain what? The socket structure. Any structures of the sockets will must contain the your IP address and the port number. Port number of establishing of that in which systems. Clear? So the client doesn't have to call bind. Client doesn't have to call bind. They didn't use the bind functions to call bind. The kernel choose both and temporary port and source IP address if necessary. Kernel choose the IP addresses and the port number of both sides, client and server side. Okay. So now connection error. What happens? The connection error during the connections between the client and the server. So, client TCP. Suppose the establishment is happening with the TCP, okay, transport control protocols. Establishment or connections is established with the help of the TCP protocols. So the client we are calling here the client TCP. Client TCP no response. Okay, client TCP if sending the no response to the estimated timeout. Whatever the time is already defined to you for getting the response, but he didn't respond. Then this is called the estimated time. Estimated, yeah, okay, estimated time. Now, what is here? Encounter refused. Server response to clients like the synchronize is a reset. It means what you can see here that what is this one and what I am telling about here that the no response and this is said sending here the clients synchronization is synchronization is a reset, isn't it? What is this? This is so I just want to tell here you like the suppose there are two, one is the client, another is a server. So the something on the server side there are multiple data are stored, which is the requirement of the client. So what happened? Client will request to take that data from the server. So here is the one operations is performing that client is perform the read operations to the server, and server what they are processing their data, and again he start the write operations to whom to the clients to read that data. Clear? So what is this? Sending the data from the server to the client, that is just like the response. He is giving the response to the client that yes, your data is here and I am sending that data to you. Clear? So this is basically called the request and response. So here it is that suppose client gave no response and estimated time is going to log, and in counter to refused, server response to the client synchronization is reset. Server again send to the suppose you are fetching some data and you have the limited amount of the time to get that data, and due to the some connection error, network connection error, you didn't fetch that data. So what happened? Server again respond you to that what? Please reset the response, isn't it? Synchronize response time, and again you are using that thing. So e-host reach and host is just going to go down. This is also happen with your daily life whenever you are using or doing some online examination, then you are seeing that the time is limited amount of time is they are given to you, isn't it? And if you haven't submitted that in the time when that will be the escape. Or another thing is what? Suppose you are mailing something, some documents through another persons, and whenever the internet connection is going to be down, then what happens? The sending file is going to be failed. So whenever the connection is established, then you say there is a message uh, received by you, that what again please again retry, you again have to send that data. So this is basically the connection errors example. Now the bind function. What is our king of the bind function? Bind function assigns a local protocol address to the socket. They basically used for the assigning the what assigning the address. Whose address protocol, whatever the protocols you are using here for connection, establish the connections. So they are basically assigning the uh, protocol address to the socket. And with IP addresses, the protocol addresses for the combination are, you will know that the protocol address is the combination of the 32-bit and IPv4 or 128-bit for the IPv6. Isn't it? 32-bit for the IPv4 and 128-bit for the IPv6. And using with 2 or anyone because we will use that. And along with the 16-bit TCP or UDP4 number, whatever the port you are using, TCP the port number or the UDP port number, and also use the internet protocols IPv4 or internet protocols IPv6. Clear? So see here one some line of the course how you are using the bind. So it has include system socket dot h in the bind. You are using the bind in socket update. Their port number, construct destruct socket address and my address to whom socket or address is length. Here servers bind to their well-known port when they start. What happens? Server bind. Server bind to their well-known port. Server knows that to whom they are just going to be connected. So server bind to their well-known port when they start to communicate with the clients. Clear? A process can bind a specific IP address to its socket, and also client doesn't have the IP address to its the socket. It might be possible. Now the bind error. Whenever you are using the bind function, then it might be happen that there some error will be occurring during the bind. So bind errors what? E-access. The address is protected and e-address use. The given address is already in use. This type of error may be generated like e-access. It means address is protected. Your address is protected, and e-address e-address in use, it means given address is already in use. And ebadf, it means what? The socket forward is not a valid descriptor, not a valid descriptor. And einval, socket is already bound to an address, socket is already bound to an address. Okay, now you what you see, two functions you have used, you have already discussed with me. One is your the connect function and what errors will be generated during the connect function, connection function. Second is the bind function and the errors during the bind function. Now the listen function and also the error generated during the listen function. So the listen function is only called by the TCP server, same as it is the bind function. It is called by the TCP server and it performs two actions. First, what convert the unconnected active socket to the passive socket and specifies the maximum number of the connections, how many connections can be established during the one time. Okay, so how the codes will be written for the listen function, same as it is the previous code, like the system socket dot dash integer listen here, socket fd and integer backlog, and called after both the socket and bind functions. uh, we will call here backlog is what? For a given listening socket, for what? For that sockets to whom you want to listen, the kernel maintains two queue. First, first queue perform incomplete connection queue and second complete connection. There might be possible two things. One, what? Connection, incomplete connection, and the complete connection. What is the meaning of here connection queue? Connection queue, it means you are not only the first request. It might be that there are the several requests. Clear? So the incomplete connection queue contains the entry for each synchronized that had been arrived at the client side, from the client side, and a complete connection queue entry for each clients with whom three-way handshake has been completed. And three handshake, it is basically used for the connection establishment of the TCP IP connections. Okay, with the help of the three handshake. Here you can see that what TCP server and clients. Okay, this is basically what two queue maintained by TCP for a listening socket. You are using here the listening socket. Clear? So now here see that thing. There are two. Here is a three-way handshake complete. One, two, three. What arriving the synchronizing. These all are in the incomplete connection queue served because this is not going to be completed. Here is all the has completed. So complete connection queue established a state, and here you can see the connection is used by the TCP port number, and here is the servers, and you are requesting here. Suppose arriving the synchronizing, then what happened? They will uh, arriving to the request, and they will accept the data from the server side. Clear? So now if this will not doing the well, no working. So here what three-way handshakes. It will send this request to this ones, and this one goes to the server, and server will not respond to this one. So again he will sending the reset. They will reset the synchronization. Three-way handshake completed. So this is working the three-way handshake. And sum of both queue cannot exceed the backlogs. Sum of both queue cannot be exceeded to the backlogs. Now the accept. You are using the connection, then using the bind function, then using the what listen function, that server must listen your request. Then accept function. Accept is at the server side, that server are accepting your request or not. So accept is called by the TCP server, and here is the code that like system socket.in accept into the software struct socket address, and clean here is the address of the clean address, socket length, and the socket address length. Clear? So this client address and the client address length argument are used to return the protocol's address. And now the fork and execution function is also used. Fork function is only the way in Unix to create the new process or the new request, isn't it? Here is the Unix studio.h PID process ID, and the fork void. Here is the function called once but returns twice. Whenever you use the fork function, it returns you the twice value. Once in the parent process and another in the child process. Suppose you are using the one fork, and under that you are using the uh, child, then one returns the value for the child, and one also value return for the parent. Okay, parent process. So fork function work this type. So once in the parent process returns the child process ID, and once the child process returns a zero. Okay, so uses of fork. What is the uses of fork? Used for the multitasking we are using, and the process wants to handle the another fork. Okay, and last one is the execution function. Execution function what performs? They are basically it's execution flag and argument 0, and you are creating here the argument 3, and except file arguments, this will be converted to the file path where is the file, and they are executing the file arguments. And here are the another excel files which also create the arguments, then you add the these files also and execute path here, and system calls return. Suppose that there is another creating of the arguments, then these all are going to be some and the system calls. So this all are the basic regarding the your connections establishing between the clients and the server, that is the elementary functions of the socket, TCP socket. Clear? So I have discussed this already with you. I didn't hope that any problems will happen in this session. And in case if you have any problem in the session, then please let me know your query by using the comment section in the box, and I will discuss and solve your query in the next section. We will make that once. Okay, and read these topics with us different standard book also, and also use the various online sites which will help you to take understands on this one, isn't it? So this session is going to be over, and I hope you enjoyed this session. Okay, thank you. If you have any comment, please let me know.